Okay, if you take a look at the repos lib folder, so underneath is the source. I mentioned this before, so this file is basically to export those classes. So when you reference our repo, you can use those classes directly. Under here, I think we already talked about the translation folder. So we have a models folder, util folder, and widget. We're gonna talk about the models folder first. Util basically you can imagine basically is for utility functions, so easy to understand. Widget is our main logic, but our logic need to be based on some models, right? So here the first folder here is the documents. Here let's explain here. Okay, so we have a document model, kind of like the DOM tree, right? So our document is also represent a tree of nodes. In HTML, basically you have DOM tree. Here we have basically the document basically say also tree of nodes. Okay, so there are three main types of nodes. Let me also go back to cross-reference the code. Okay, so we have a block. So the main parent class is the container. Okay, so they are all nodes. Okay, node is kind of like a linked list. Okay. And we have block, we have leaf, we have line. Notice we mentioned it before. Embeddable is basically a special leaf node. It's a special leaf node. We mentioned this before. Basically, it's image and video. Okay. So what is leaf node? A leaf node represents a segment of style text within a document. There are two kinds of leaf node. Basically, one is text, and the other is the embed. Okay, text is basically, if we take a look at this picture, so basically the leaf node is those leaves, right? You must have leaf node, right? So that's where the text actually is. Okay, you must have text, right? And the line node actually represent an individual line of text. It's a group of text node, okay, within a document for a whole line. Okay, if you have a line break, that's another line, right? Line nodes are containers for leaf nodes. Okay, if you look at here, so you see line, basically the children of line is text. Okay, block is more like okay, actually let me explain the block here. The block here. So if you look at the attribute we have, we'll talk about attribute later. So we'll have block. If you look at the block, I mean, you can click this link, but we can also look at here. We'll talk about it later. So what is block? So basically block here is kind of like the attribute scope. Okay, attribute scope. We have inline, we have block. So inline you may have like a background, color, size, font. Those are all inline scope. Code, strike, underline, small, italic, bold. Those are all inline. But for block, like header, indentation, right? Indent, alignment, list, code block, block code, right? Those are all block, right? We're ignoring some attribute from the web, okay? Those are from web, we are not using it. Okay. All attribute, like all the JSON attribute, all the attribute should be explicitly defined, handled here. Even you want to ignore it, you have to add it here. So we are not expecting anything. We have to expect a key. If you have a key that we don't understand, like if we put a garbage here, then our app cannot run. So anything you want to have has to be, even you want to ignore it, you have the list here. It's kind of like a white list. Okay, it's a little bit off topic. So you kind of have an idea what block means. So that's why block here, let's go back to the block. So you see the block is under the block you can have multiple line. So basically if you look at here, a root has one to many to block or line. You can have directly line under it. Block and line is one to many. Line and text is also one to many. Okay, So block represents a group of adjacent lines which share the same style, like a list, code blocks. Okay. So let's go back to the repo. So here are the classes for the block. And then we mentioned that embeddable is a special one for image and video. Okay, the leaf node, right? The leaf node basically is the text. Okay, line. This is the class, the node class. Okay, this is document class. The document class is actually have more, a lot of methods we can try to talk about it later. But the main thing is, you see, if you want to have a new empty document, you must have a line break. It had at least have one line break. So it should always have a line break in the end. So what is delta? So simply explained, delta basically, I mean, we are based on delta. I'm not trying to explain more about delta. You should be able to figure it out somewhere else, because we are not inventing delta here. You should be, there are a lot of public resources you can find what delta is. We are based on delta, but the repo itself is not all about delta. I mean, it's based on delta. So I encourage you to find other resources to learn what delta is. It's a popular form. Okay, so we are based on delta. So delta, I only gonna explain the simple example. Basically, it has three options: insert, delete, and retain. Retain is how many basically character or letter you keep, right? Then you insert. So if you try this example, insert, you have this output as a JSON. Okay. So I'm not trying to explain. So, but here, if you have an empty delta, insert one line break, and basically you have an empty document. Okay. Also, you can get it from JSON. We are the JSON one. We already have this sample JSON data, right? So this is the JSON form of the delta. You see the insert here, right? So right now it's only insert. It also have delete and retain. Okay. So I encourage you to find the other resource to learn more about it. Yeah. So also you can directly pass the data. So this is the initialization of this document class. That's it for today regarding the model. Next, we can talk about more about the attribute and the property styles. Also, you know that we also have themes and rules here. We can talk about those later. Okay.